Now we're going to select the roof object, and in the UV polygon edit mode, we're going to go to the UV commands, the UV mapping tab, select projection, and I'm going to start with world system. And what we can do is just use one of the modes where we're going to get an even distribution of the top polygon set, which is going to be the 2 polygons on top. We can see those showing, and then also the 2 on the bottom. The rest of the polygons that we're going to have on the edge, we're going to end up separating with a selection tag. So first what I want to do is, with these 2 selected now, and I'm going to go ahead and hide the walls. So this way we can just select the top, select the bottom, and if we go to selection, we can set the selection, go to the attribute tab, and give this a name, roof, the main tag for that, and that's basically done. We do want it to be square because even though we look at it from the top and it is rectangular, because we're projecting onto the polygons, the UV coordinates, when it's flattened out, it's actually going to be square. So now what we can do is work on the other polygons, which what we'll be able to do is select connected, and that may not work for polygon selection mode or for the UV polygon. So we'll select the regular polygons and select connected, and then deselect from that polygon selection tag, which is roof. And that's going to select the inverse. You also could have just from the selection menu use the invert, which would then select the inverse polygons. So we go back to our UV polygon mode, and this is going to be a separate texture that can be very small because of the way it's set up. And what we can do under UV mapping, select UV commands and use the max UV command, and that's going to basically fill all of the polygons to the extent of the texture, and that's going to be more than enough for whatever we need to create. So now we want to deselect that polygon tag, select the roof, and once again set the selection, which is going to give us a new tag that we can name roof_trim. And that way we have a separate tag to assign our material to make those polygons entirely different. What we can also go ahead and do is create a new texture, and we're going to do 1024 by 1024, and what we can call this is building building _01 _ roof. And this is also going to be the same for the trim for the most part. Although we're going to have an actual separate file, we can still use the reference for this to create that trim. So then we'd want to create our UV mesh layer. So we select the roof, and it looks like because I didn't have that selected, I'm just going to go ahead. And that might still be in the memory, so we might be able to just load that in. So what we can do is just go to textures and select the roof. Now I do have another one that I created earlier, so you can ignore that. It's the 001, it's our roof. And what we're going to do is go to the layer and create UV mesh layer. And then we can go ahead and save this out. Once again as the TIFF PSD layers. And we'll go ahead and save that. So now basically our first building has all of its UV maps set up. One thing we could do is select the wall now, and I'm going to go ahead and switch my layout back and select all of the polygons of the wall layer, So we're going to use the rectangular selection, which is set to select everything, so all elements visible or not. Go to selection, set the selection, and then we can give that a name and call it walls. So I am now going to add in a connect object, and I already have all of this set up in the objects panel. Just kind of drag the panel into here, kind of a separate setup for groups and whatnot. But otherwise you can select from the main UI where it has the array, choose connect object. And what we want to do is just take the wall and the roof, and we can just put those both in there and select the connect object and turn off the weld command. And now we can hit C on the keyboard, or you can select the make editable command, and we have our object along with our different polygon tags. So we'll change the name back to building 1. I can delete my null, and we have our object. So basically going through and doing the same thing for the other objects, although the other objects may not need the trim, at least separated, depending on how you're going to create the textures. Obviously, for this very simple one, we would only need 2 selections, one for the roof and one for the walls.